Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. This is my Bryan Taunt guide for Tekken 8. Taunt is by far the most intimidating thing for most people when they're trying to learn Bryan. It scares a lot of people off from the character. A lot of people don't fully understand it. I get asked questions about it all the time. I just wanted to make this video to help you guys out with understanding the move. We're going to talk about what it's used for, how to set it up, how to practice follow-ups, things like that. If you don't know me, I'm Ty. I've been playing Bryan for about 7 years competitively. I have a lot of experience with the character and with doing Taunt. So hopefully this video can help you guys and make the learning process easier for you, but without wasting any more time, let's just jump into it, and we're going to talk about what Taunt actually is and what we use it for in matches. So before we talk about anything else, let's just talk about what Bryan's Taunt actually is. Bryan's Taunt is 1 plus 3 plus 4. As you can see, that's his full taunt. Upon full completion of the taunt, you get your Snake Eyes install. Not super useful, but just something worth touching on really quick. What makes the taunt really good are two things. First, you can cancel the taunt at any point during the animation with anything that you want. So as you can see, I input the taunt, I cancel it by pressing forward. Input the taunt, cancel it by pressing back. You can also cancel it with moves. So I input the taunt, I cancel it, and do quarter circle back 3, back 1, etc. You name it, you can cancel it with anything. The second thing that makes the taunt really good is the fact that it's an unblockable attack. So as you can see, the hit properties are unblockable. The taunt is plus 16 on hit. And as we talked about earlier, considering the fact that you can cancel the taunt with anything, moves up to 16 frames are guaranteed. It's important to note here that this plus 16 is a true plus 16. They cannot block anything after this up to 16 frames as long as you time it properly. That is where Taunt becomes tricky, because you have 16 frames to input your attack, which means that slower moves have to be timed almost perfectly, or frame perfectly, depending on what you're inputting. But before we get into all of that, those are the three things that you need to know. Bryan's Taunt is an unblockable, it's plus 16 on hit, and it can be cancelled at any point during the animation with any move or any movement option that you want. So now let's talk about some of the follow-ups that you can actually get by hitting the opponent with a taunt. Before we start talking about the follow-ups after taunt, I just want to make sure you guys are comfortable knowing when you're supposed to cancel the taunt into the guaranteed damage. So the way that we cancel the taunt is basically by timing it with when Bryan's knee makes contact with the opponent. So as you can see, when he does the taunt, his knee goes up. This moment when his knee goes up and makes contact with the opponent is the timing of canceling the taunt into the follow-up. This is when the taunt actually hits the opponent. This is when they are minus 16, you're plus 16 to get free follow-ups, etc. This is the timing that you are supposed to learn to make sure your follow-ups are actually guaranteed after taunt. It's when your knee makes contact with the opponent and you get that plus 16. This is when you want to input your attack. So this timing is tricky. We'll talk a little bit later about how we can practice the more difficult follow-ups afterwards, but for now let's talk about what's actually guaranteed after taunt. So we know the taunt is plus 16, we know we get unblockable attacks, but what are actually good follow-ups to go for after taunt on hit? Well, if you're a new Bryan player, I recommend working your way up from the bottom. Slower moves, like back 4 for example, are going to be harder to link after taunt. Taunt is plus 16 on hit, back 4 is I16. That means that, for example, taunt back 4 is a true just frame, a frame perfect link after taunt. This makes it really difficult and not something that you should try to learn immediately when you're learning the taunt. Luckily, Bryan has follow-ups that are easier and also do decent damage, although the more rewarding ones, the ones that you're going to want to be using at a high level, are the most difficult ones. We'll go into how to practice those later. For now, let's talk about the easiest follow-ups and the ones that you should start with. So starting from the easiest taunt follow-ups to the hardest, first we have taunt 1-4, taunt 4-3, taunt down forward 2-1, taunt forward 2-1-4, taunt down forward 1. Taunt down forward 1 is pretty good over forward 2-1-4 because taunt down forward 1 is actually confirmable. If you do miss the taunt follow-up, you can see that you didn't hit it and bail yourself out, whereas if you do taunt forward 2-1-4 and you mess it up like this, you're minus 13, no real chance to confirm. So that's the main reason that we would use taunt down forward 1 sometimes over taunt forward 2-1-4, even though they're both I-15, and taunt forward 2-1-4 does better damage. The safety is what makes taunt down forward 1 viable over forward 2 and 4 sometimes. So just something to touch on there. Taunt back 4. And finally, taunt jet upper. I'm not going to touch on taunt FF2 and taunt QC back 1 in this video because I don't think they're very useful. These are the main taunt follow-ups that I use and that I think you guys should be learning as well. Those two are just weird and only weirdos do them, so don't bother learning those ones. Now we know about all the taunt follow-ups that we'll likely be using in a real game. Now that you've watched up to this point, you may go into a match and try to hit your opponent with a run-up taunt jet upper, and then you realize that, well, first of all, you can't hit taunt jet upper, and second of all, your taunt has no range. As you can see, this whiffs literally right in front of his face. The taunt is also very slow, as I'm sure you've picked up on. So what is the usefulness of taunt if it's so short range and so slow? Well, the usefulness of the taunt comes in at the wall, which I'm going to show you now, and that is the biggest thing that makes Bryan one of the best characters in the game when he's got your back to the wall. So now that we're at the wall, this is where taunt really becomes scary. Before we talk about anything else, that we really need to talk about double taunt. This is the most important thing for you to learn if you're trying to learn Bryan and learn how to taunt properly. So what is double taunt exactly? Well, double taunt is pressing the taunt button twice during the animation. Double taunt is not canceling your taunt like this. It is pressing the button twice during the animation. So as you can see, the way that I do my taunt is I hold down 3+4 and I press 1 to get my taunt. However you like to do it, that's up to you. This method will work no matter what weird button bind setup you have. But as you can see, I'm holding down 3+4 and pressing 1 twice during the animation. And that's going to make my taunt properly track tech rules, which is extremely important. So here's an example of what it'll look like if you don't do double taunt and you just press taunt once like this. So we'll just do a wall combo, and as you can see, Bryan is just completely off axis. His knee does not connect with the opponent. And remember, the knee hitting the opponent is what actually gives us those unblockable attacks. The knee has to hit. Doesn't matter which way they tech roll, it's inconsistent if you don't do double taunt. Now let's try it with double taunt. Like we said earlier, just pressing the button twice. As you can see, the taunt fully tracks the tech roll if we do double taunt. I have no idea why this is a thing. I mean, as far as I know, it's been in the game forever, at least back in Tekken 7. I really don't know why it's like this, but it's really important that every time you do taunt, you always do double taunt to make sure that your taunt is tracking and you get that muscle memory down for it every time. So, yeah. So as you guys have probably figured out by now, 99% of your interactions with taunt are going to come at the wall when your opponent is getting up off the ground, tech rolling after your wall combo. But we have to make sure, if we want to hit taunt, that we do a proper wall combo that's going to give us the right O key to actually hit the taunt. We know that taunt is really slow, so wall combos that have a lot of recovery or a lot of hits may not give us the right wall situation to actually get the taunt afterwards. So for example here, let's just talk about a few wall combos. So for example, let's say, we hit full crouch down for 2 on the wall, okay, tornado into our staple wall combo, right? And if our opponent backdashes here, our taunt is not going to hit. That's really important to know. So this is our go-to wall combo, and it doesn't give us proper taunt Oki because our opponent can backdash out of the taunt due to its very short range. As you can see, that is not a wall combo that gives us proper taunt Oki. So let's talk about one that does. There's 2 of them that I use. This one is the one from Tekken 7, which is back 3 into crouch cancel by pressing up into down back 1+2. So as you can see, even though he backdashes here, the taunt still hits him. This is because Bryan's recovery after down back 1+2 is really fast, which gives him enough time to, dash forward, get the taunt before the opponent has time to backdash away from it. The other one that I like to do is just doing 1+2, 1. This also has very low recovery, which means that Bryan has enough time to dash forward, and it kind of fakes people out because they will see this 1+2-1, and they'll expect the up forward 2 follow-up afterwards. They'll already be tech rolling to, you know, just get out of it because that wall combo doesn't get proper taunt Oki, but then you cut it short, you get taunt, and you get to dash up, get your free damage. So those are the two that I like to use. We already showed an example of a wall combo where taunt isn't going to work. There are actually other ones as well that we need to keep in mind. So if your wall combo is too many hits, it will also not work because your opponent is going to fall off of the wall faster. So for example, down forward 2-1 into down back 1+2, you can see that the opponent falls off of the wall a lot faster than this combo. They actually stay on the wall a lot longer, which gives you more time to dash up and get your taunt. So again, here's an example of a wall combo that doesn't get proper taunt Oki, and here's an example of one that does. So now you can kind of see the difference, and you'll know which combos work and which ones don't for getting proper taunt Oki. Now obviously you don't only have to go for taunt when your opponent is, you know, tech rolling like this. There have been many times where I have just dashed up in my opponent's face when their back is to the wall and done taunt back 4 and killed them. It's totally cool and it works every now and then, but most of the time what makes Bryan's taunt so good is the fact that you can do a wall combo, and if you can hit your follow-ups, which I can't because for some reason my game keeps freezing every time I hit him with taunt, you can basically get extra damage after every combo you do. So we can talk a little bit about ways to neutralize the opponent's response to taunt, which will usually be wake up attacks or, you know, delaying their tech roll or things like that. One of the things that you're going to want to practice as a Bryan player learning taunt is actually reacting to your opponent tech rolling. So as you can see here, I have the bot set to do a get up low kick, which is going to be one of the common responses to taunt Oki is, like I said, wake up attacks. But as you can see, if we do a taunt Oki wall combo that gives us enough time, we can actually react and see that the opponent didn't tech roll because of how slow it is. So we can cancel our taunt and, you know, for example, do a QC back 4 to get that flip over Oki, or keep it safe with a down 4 or something like that. But as you guys can see, you know, you kind of have a lot of time to visually confirm that the opponent didn't tech roll. This gets a bit more tricky when they start doing delay tech roll. That's more of a higher level thing that people will do to try to mess with your taunt timing. But even if you do have a read that someone's going to do a delay tech roll, for example, which like I said is a really common response to taunt Oki at the wall, you can delay your timing with your taunt by just extending your dash forward or delaying your dash or things like that to catch the delay tech. But most of the time, you're totally fine just seeing that they didn't tech roll and then just going for, you know, a safe ground hitting option. For example, like down back 3, which actually on the ground flips them over, which gives really good Oki here. For example, if they try to do a low get up kick after this, you are super plus here. And you can totally counter hit them. I mean, you can even do like wall sending 3 if you wanted to here and counter hit them that way. I'm getting a little off topic, but really what you guys want to learn is practicing reacting to the tech roll, or more so reacting to the fact that they didn't tech roll and then choosing to not continue your taunt. Get up kicks are not as scary as they used to be. You're not getting counter hit launched for getting counter hit by a low get up kick, so even if you do end up getting hit by a get up kick, it's really not the end of the world. So you can be a bit lazier with your taunt Oki in this game, but it's still good to get in the habit of reacting or seeing that they didn't tech roll, just so that you can make your wall game that much scarier. Now when it comes to things like spring kicks, it can be a bit more tricky. Again, you just want to get in the habit of reacting to the fact that they didn't tech roll and canceling the taunt, because if you keep your taunt going, you will get hit by it. Again, it's just one of those things that takes some time to practice reacting to, but spring kicks are super minus at the wall just because of how little space there is here. You will always pretty much block at tip range, which means that you have an easy launch here. And if you wanted to, you could even do like back 4 into Mach Punch if you wanted to be super swaggy. But yeah, spring kicks, low get up kicks, mid get up kicks. Again, just get in the habit of reacting to the fact that they didn't tech roll. If you're typically going for low attacks after you see they didn't tech roll, spring kick can mess you up here. Something that I like to do is just down back 2. Down back 2 basically resets the situation afterwards. That kind of taunt Oki situation, if you do manage to like float somebody out of a spring kick, you basically have to guess on this taunt wake up situation again. So down back 2, any of your ground hitting lows, quarter circle back 4, after seeing that they didn't tech roll are all really good options. Or, like I said, higher level thing, choosing to chase the delay tech instead of doing any of that if your opponent is a habitual delay techer. Now, when it comes to practicing taunt, I wish I could give more advice other than to just get the reps in, but it is really just all muscle memory at the end of the day. There's not really much I can tell you other than that you guys kind of have to just grind out the timing. Like I said, start from the bottom, start with the easy stuff, and start working your way up until you feel more comfortable hitting, the harder stuff. Taunt back 4, for example. You guys have even seen I'm dropping them from time to time. It's totally normal. I mean, it's a just frame. You're not going to get it 110% of the time, but working on your consistency is what's really important, and not trying to do it too fast because you'll get frustrated and just start searching for, unrealistic results with your training. When it comes to taunt jet upper, there are a few tips that I have. Mainly just you have to get comfortable with actually doing perfect 14 frame jet uppers because that's the most important thing. When you're doing taunt jet upper, you have to have a perfect frame of forward, a perfect frame of neutral, and a perfect frame of back. That is a perfect taunt jet upper. It's 3 just frames in a row. It's not easy. Like I said, there's not too much advice I could give you other than you need to get in the habit of doing actual 14 frame jet uppers. So just setting the CPU to do like a -14 move and properly buffering your punish and getting a 14 frame jet upper is really important to understanding the timing of actually getting jet uppers. I notice a lot of Bryan players do slow jet uppers. They're not getting consistently 14 frame jet uppers. So make sure that you're doing that first of all, and then it's just a matter of linking it after taunt. That wasn't a taunt jet upper. That also wasn't a taunt jet upper. There we go. Like I said, there's not too much advice I can give you guys with that. It really is just a matter of practice. That's all I did to get my taunts consistent, is just practice. Get those 14 frame jet uppers down, and then once you have the timing of actually canceling the taunt properly, then it's just a matter of combining the two. There are some open ground taunt setups that you can do that are somewhat useful. This new running animation that they added in Tekken 8 kind of messes with the taunt timing a little bit for trying to hit them. The workaround that I've found is just to press back before you do your taunt. So, if you dash forward like this, you get kind of stuck in this running animation, and you need to go pretty far to hit these taunt setups. A single dash isn't enough. So when you get stuck in this animation, I just like to cancel it by pressing back like this. For example, if you hit a 1+2, 2, you can dash up. It's a little bit tricky, but it does work. There you go, you guys see. You have to press back before you do your taunt. The timing is a little tricky on this, especially if your opponent is back dashing after they tech roll, but it does work. The same thing goes for up forward 2, but I found this one to be a bit trickier, but you guys can see it does work there. So you do have a little mix-up between those two, because if your opponent tech rolls, they can get hit by taunt, and if they don't tech roll and they stay down to avoid the taunt after 1+2, 2, you can float them and get a full combo with beat burst. Same thing goes for up forward 2. I think it's only the Snake Eyes version though, if I remember correctly. So this one is a bit less useful, but it is there. For some reason it doesn't show up as a combo, but if they stay down, it is a combo. I think both versions do work. I was just confused about the combo counter not showing up, but yeah, you have a little mix up there in the open with either hitting an up forward 2 or a 1+2. Either up forward 2 option does work, just to confirm with you guys. But yeah, if they tech roll, you do have to do this dash into pressing back for your taunt, which is a little bit tricky to learn, but it is pretty useful. So that's one way that you can get open ground taunts. I guess the final way would be after while sending 3-4, if the 4 counter hits, you're super duper plus here. You're plus 29. So you do have enough time to run up for a taunt. Again, if the opponent backdashes, it becomes pretty hard to hit this, but it is possible to actually chase them down with it. I'm actually going to take them off backdash because actually timing a perfect backdash here is really, really hard since the opponent is minus 29. It's just that the bot is just programmed to do it perfectly, but most of the time people are not going to be perfectly backdashing out of this. They're also not going to be perfectly backdashing out of like 1+2, 2, or sorry, 1+2, 2 into taunt, or, you know, up forward 2 into taunt. It's just showing you guys that these things are possible and, you know, some counterplay to the option. But yeah, here, I mean, this isn't a true setup. You can get mashed out of this, but you're so plus that if you choose to do any counter hit button, you know, and they try to mash, they will die. Even if you like dash up taunt into the 3+4, they will die for trying to mash out of your taunt into that. So those are a few open ground taunt setups that you guys can use. I don't do them too much. I focus more on the wall setups, but they are there and worth practicing. So I guess the last big useful thing to talk about with taunt besides taunt dashing is for off-axis combo purposes. So for example, if you hit a jet upper on someone's side, can't really get a great combo here. You know, that drops, and usually I'll just go for like this into GC back 1. But a good combo ender here is down 2-3, because the down 2-3 actually will give you taunt Oki. I don't know why it drops there. That's like literally never happened to me before. But as you can see, the down 2-3 gives you taunt Oki. So any like off-axis combo that you do, most enders are pretty bad, but down 2-3 does actually give you taunt Oki. So this is a pretty good option if you don't really have like any good combo options available. You can end with down 2-3. Even like down back 2 can give you taunt Oki, but it's a bit finicky, as you saw there. Most of the time you have to do like a double down back 2 like that, and then you'll get the Oki. Just some more examples of how to hit taunt. These are a bit less common than, you know, just the wall setup, but you know, if you do get an off-axis combo with Bryan off of jet upper or whatever launcher, then you do have that taunt Oki option available to you with down 2-3 or down back 2. So the final thing to really touch on with taunt, I guess, is taunt dashing. So taunt dashing is basically repeated taunts with a forward dash, so like this. You can get pretty good speed doing this. It's hard. Sometimes you get a grab, but you can go really fast and scare your opponent. So the usefulness of this is that it kind of just like strikes fear in the opponent, and it makes it difficult for them to tell what you're going to do next, similar to just how forward dashing kind of scares the opponent. You can also use this to manipulate space and kind of push the opponents back to the wall, but mostly you want to use it as a threatening option, because when you cancel the taunt like this, it looks like a move is coming out, but nothing is coming out. So it kind of scares the opponent into pressing, or it even makes them want to press more, which kind of gives you the opportunity to get more counter hits. So to taunt dash, you just do taunt forward neutral, taunt forward neutral, taunt forward neutral. You need to have the neutral in there, because if you press forward and taunt at the same time, you will always get a grab. So it's really important that you do taunt forward neutral. Neutral obviously is just us not pressing anything for a second, so basically just taunt forward, wait, taunt forward, wait, taunt forward, wait, taunt forward, wait, to cancel it like this and to forward dash. If you want to go really fast, it's going to take some practice. You don't really need to go this fast. Most of the time in a game, I'm only ever doing like stuff like this, and maybe like this if I'm feeling really cocky and I kind of want to get into my opponent's head. This isn't the most useful thing in the world, but you know, it looks pretty cool, and I mean, we're all playing Bryan to do cool stuff, so you know, it's cool to learn. It makes the opponent scared. It kind of forces them to respect our forward movement a little bit more. So that's really the final thing to touch on. Not really that much to say about it, just a good thing to start mind games with on a character that's very integral to mind games. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say about Bryan's taunt. This video kind of turned out longer than I wanted it to be, but I feel like I went over a lot of useful information with you guys, so hopefully this video was helpful for you. like I said, there's not much I can really tell you with practicing the taunt. It's really just muscle memory and getting the reps in. But maybe in the future I'll do a taunt jet upper kind of tutorial with a hand cam and things like that. I just wanted to go over the actual information and application of taunt in this video to help the newer players out. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully it was helpful. If you did like it and it helped you out, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps me out a lot. I stream often, twitch.tv/ty__tk. I also do coaching. It will be in the description. And please follow me on Twitter. Please like, comment, and subscribe, all of that. Thank you guys for watching. I hope it helped you, and I hope you have a nice day. So, bye.